Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Welcome back, everybody. If you've been following the series, this is our sixth lecture on selected topics from Risale-i Nur. As you remember, we cover certain subjects from Risale-i Nur collection every month, and we follow the text and try to understand how Bediüzzaman Said Nursi explains certain uh, creeds of faith. So this month, we're going to look into the way he explains why resurrection and the hereafter makes a lot of sense. As Muslims, when we declare our faith, we say, Amantu billahi, we believe in Allah, ve melaiketihi, his angels, ve kütübihi, his books, ve rusulihi, his messenger, vel yevmil ahiri, the hereafter, ve bil qaderi hayrihi ve şerrihi. So when we declare our faith, it is one of the pillars. We say when we die, it is not the end of the story. So we believe in getting resurrected and get reward or retribution in the afterlife based on how they have done in this world. So the time we are given in this life is limited. Some lucky people may live up to 100, but I haven't seen anyone living way more than 100. So it's a limited time. And when we die, we get resurrected and we face judgment and we get reward or retribution. So it's one of the main pillars of our faith, one of the main pillars of Islam that we declare, not only declare, but also believe in the resurrection and the life after death. Before I share my screen and look at Nursi's writings, I'm gonna tell you my personal instruction with one of my colleagues here in Britain. He says he interact with a lot of fellow believers, Muslims, Christians, Jews, and people of the book. And his observation was, he says, a lot of them they really do not believe the possibility of getting resurrected. And he says uh, at on one occasion he was in one of these church circles and someone says, I mean, do you really have an evidence of life after death? And he says, sadly, I witnessed that a lot of so-called believers, they find it very difficult to digest and accept that there is life after death. Another observation to stress on the importance of this pillar is that when we were discussing why people uh, do bad things in life, and our conclusion was people who do badly in this life are the ones who have no faith of resurrection. They say, look, whatever you do here, when you die, that's the end of it. They don't genuinely believe that they're going to be accountable. They're going to get asked on their deeds and actions in this life. So they feel free to enjoy whatever they have in this life. And they tend to do anything really because they really don't believe that they're going to get resurrected and they're going to face those questions. But as good Muslims and good Nursi students, especially after studying this piece, I think we're gonna get better faith and better understanding of the resurrection and the hereafter, uh, akhirah. So before further ado, let's share the screen and do a bit of reading. So this is our flow, by the way. We are in here, resurrection and hereafter, we are May, and yeah, we are talking about this piece. Right, so let's go to the text. Let me share first. Okay, I hope you can see my screen. I was showing you this bit, then I realized I wasn't sharing. So, okay, so if you're following the text and the digital material, it is our e-Risale that I tend to use. And if I collapse my collection, so these red ones are the books, and we are in the words, that is sözler, and we go into the 10th word, that is resurrection and the hereafter. So there is a dedicated chapter in the words on resurrection and the hereafter. Haşir ve ahiret. If you are curious about the original uh, terms. This is quite long, but as I said previously, I just repeat myself and I hope I don't bore you. The main objective of this series of lectures is not to cover everything from A to Z. It is impossible. We cannot do that. What we can do though, we can make a gentle introduction and we can get you going. So when you listen to this lecture for 40 odd minutes, don't just close the book and wait for the next month. So my objective is to turn your attention to the text, read a bit, explain a bit, get you going, give you a bit of a momentum so that you can carry on and read as far as you can. So we are promoting the text rather than uh, my way of lecturing. So this is the 10th word, resurrection and the hereafter. There is a little note. This note is a little explanation why throughout Risale-i Nur collection we have metaphors and analogies and comparisons. Because if you have read, I'm sure you have read Risale-i Nur before or heard pieces from it, Nursi always follows this methodology. He tells you a story. It's an analogy, it's a comparison. Then he goes from that analogy into what they mean. So we have done this many times before. And years ago, this person was sort of, big sheikh with a beard and turban and everything, gown and all. And he was asked, he said, they asked, have you ever read Nursi's writings? And he says, Nursi tells stories and he talks about from bugs and flowers. Then I thought, this person is really, really missing the point. Because Risale-i Nur is all about establishing strong faith, he speaks to your mind and heart. He gives you solid evidence and he leaves you no room to doubt. That's why there are a lot of examples and a lot of comparisons like the one coming up. I think Nursi heard the similar criticisms. I think people said, how come you keep telling stories? You're talking about resurrection and the hereafter, Hashir vel Akhirah, and you're telling us a story of two guys, having a journey and swimming in the pool and that stuff. So even his contemporaries didn't get the point. That's why there is this little note. So let me just collapse my view, make this slightly bigger, and read that little note. Why there are comparisons throughout Risale-i Nur. Note, the reasons for my writing these treatise means piece of work, Risale. Treatise means Risale. The reason for my writing these treatises in the form of metaphors, comparisons, and stories are to facilitate comprehension and to show how rational, appropriate, well-founded, and coherent are the truths of Islam. In another place, he says, my metaphors are like telescopes. When you look ahead, something blurry in the horizon you can't really see clearly. My metaphor acts like a binocular or a telescope. He says telescope, but what he means is binocular. So you look at it with binoculars, it brings it closer. It makes it clearer. So he used this binocular telescope example elsewhere. He says, I'm using these examples so that I can bring the far realities closer to mind. The meaning of the stories is contained in the truths that conclude them. Each story is like an illusion pointing to its concluding truth. Therefore, they are not mere fictitious tales, but veritable truths. So when you listen to the story, you are not just listening to some random stories. Think about analogies in it. What do they mean? What do they represent? So we should listen to the stories from this perspective. The pattern, another pattern throughout Risale-i Nur, probably I have mentioned this before, but I'll repeat because there is benefit uh, in repetition. Risale-i Nur is a Quranic exegesis, tefsirul Quran, we say. But it doesn't go through the Quran chapter by chapter, verse by verse, line by line. So it doesn't follow that convention. What it does, we call in academia topical commentary. Nursi usually takes one Quranic verse and makes an argument around it and tells you some faith matters based on that Quranic verse. That's why you got 20 pages of Risale, a chapter, explaining one Quranic verse, arguing, making arguments around that verse to prove that resurrection and hereafter makes a lot of sense. So this type of Quranic exegesis, tafsirul Quran, is called topical commentary. So making commentary around one topic. In this one, this is all in English, but if you look at the original text, it is the Quranic verse, usually written in Arabic. In the name of God, the compassionate and merciful. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. In the name of God, the compassionate, the merciful. Look then to the signs of God's mercy. فانظر إلى آثار رحمة الله. Look at the signs of God's mercy. How he restores life. كيف يحيي الأرض بعد موتها. How he restores life to earth after its death. كيف يحيي الأرض بعد موتها. Verily, it is who weakens the death, for he is powerful over all things. This is Surah Al-Rum, probably here. So this is chapter 30. Okay, so he's gonna build his arguments around this Quranic verse. But I think before we go ahead, I'm gonna actually show you Quran 3050. So let me just open my Quran app, Quran chapter 30, Surah Al-Rum, and we are gonna look at verse 50 because I want to share the original Quranic text. Because when I show people all Latin, all in English, people actually miss the point. What is this about? Is this a Quranic exegesis? It is. So let's look at 30, 50. Okay, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. فانظر, look, إلى آثار رحمة الله. كيف يحيي الأرض بعد موتها. إن ذلك لمحيي الموتى وهو على كل شيء قدير. So observe, this is modern English. So another reason I wanted to show you this, it is simpler to understand. So observe the effects of the mercy of Allah, how He gives life to the earth after its lifelessness. Indeed, that same one, Allah, will give life to the dead, and He is over all things competent. He is powerful over everything. So we understand it's going to be based on this Quranic verse. And the Quran itself, it says, look, Allah is resurrecting every year. كيف يحيي الأرض بعد موتها. The earth is dead, and Allah is resurrecting it every year. So it is very clear evidence from the Holy Quran itself. Okay, now Nursi is talking. Brother, if you wish for a discussion of resurrection and the hereafter in simple and common language, in a straightforward style, then listen to the following comparison together with my own soul. Once, two men were traveling through a land as beautiful as paradise. By that land, we intend this world. Looking around them, they saw that everyone had left open the door of his home and his shop and was not paying attention to guarding it. Money and property were readily accessible without anyone to claim them. One of the two travelers grasped hold of all that he fancied, stealing it and usurping it. Okay, so you're going through, this is the sensation if a person, a rustic person, Bedouin, rustic, comes to a city, a shopping mall, like, Tesco or I don't know, I think in the US you got something like Walmart. Everything is everywhere. You walk through the aisles with your trolley, you can just pick and choose and grab anything. And you might think, oh, I can just help myself because no one is guarding nothing, so I can just help myself. So something similar. I don't think at the time of writing this piece there was the supermarket concept, but imagine compared to one shopkeeper, you pay the money, ask for something, he gives you and guards everything. The new model of supermarket, you can just go and help yourself. So they go through a place like that. The doors are open, everything is out and about, and no one seemingly guarding anything. So the one of the guys, they said, "Oh, let me just help myself. Let me eat this. Let me grab this. Let me put this in my pocket. Let me. And whatever he fancied, stealing it and pocketing it. Following his inclinations, he committed every kind of injustice and abomination. He says, look, everything is free. I'll just have a party. I'll just pocket everything. None of the people of that land moved to stop him. Nothing is happening. But his friend said to him, what are you doing? You will be punished, and I will be dragged into misfortune along with you. All this property belongs to the state. The people of this land, including even the children, are all soldiers or government servants. It is because they are at present civilians that they are not interfering with you. But the laws here are strict. The king has installed telephones everywhere and his agents are everywhere. Go quickly and try to settle the matter. Someone says to you, look, don't put it in your pocket. There are CCTVs everywhere. And someone will come and get you and you are going to get punished. I think Bediüzzaman was ahead of its time. So it is like CCTV, some security guard behind the wall is actually watching the shop floor. The first person, the empty-headed man, said in his obstinacy, he said, no, it is not state property. It belongs instead to some endowment and has no clear or obvious owner. Look, no one is guarding it. No one owns it. I'm just going to go help myself. Everyone can make use of it as he sees fit. I see no reason to deny myself the use of these fine things. I will not believe they belong to anyone unless I see him with my own eyes. This is typical. This is where is God? I'm not going to accept it unless I see with my own eyes. This exact same argument. The guy says, look, I don't see anyone owning this. And I'm not going to accept unless I see the owner with my own eyes. He continued to speak in this way with much philosophical sophistry, stupidity, ahmak, and an earnest discussion took place between them. Now, this is the story. This is the behavior, and the discussion starts. First, empty-headed man said, who is the owner? Who is the king? I can't see him. And the friend replied, he says, every village must have its headman. Every needle must have its manufacturer and craftsman. And as you know, every letter must be written by someone. In physics, in science in general, in Newtonian laws of motion, we say for every action, there is equal and opposite reaction. Or for every effect, there is a cause. So this is causality. There is cause effect. If you look at the glasses, you say there must be someone who has made this. This is the effect. There must be a cause. Someone must have caused this artifact. So the person says every letter must be written by someone. How then can it be that so extremely well ordered a kingdom should have no ruler? And how can so much wealth have no owner when every hour a train arrives filled with precious and artful gifts, as if coming from the realm of the unseen? This is, I do a bit of hiking and cycling in the mountains. You can see some random fields, some hillsides, some random trees and stuff. You say, oh, okay, so it doesn't belong to anyone. But as soon as you see some fields plowed and hedged and fenced, and you think, someone must own this. Look how orderly and well maintained this is. Although in reality, what you describe random hill is maintained better. So you don't see the owner and the maintainer, but it is being maintained better. Anyway, coming back to the field, you suddenly think, oh, maybe I shouldn't go for this field. Probably someone owns this. Look how well maintained and square and designed. There must be an owner of it. Nurse says similarly, I mean, you live in a place, everything is maintained so well. Well, you don't see who's doing it, but the evidence suggests that someone is been maintaining it. It is not some random chaotic things going on. It is being looked after pretty well. And he says, trains coming, trains going. So we're gonna come to what those trains actually mean. All right. And All the announcements and proclamations, all the seals and stamps found on all those goods, all the coins and the flags waving in every corner of the kingdom, can they be without an owner? I mean, the most basic evidence is, when I was little in schools, we got school uniform and everybody got the same thing. And inside the label, you put your initials, HG. It means it belongs to me. And other people put their own initials. So basically, there is a label, a stamp, then you know it belongs to someone. And similar, especially in Britain, because this is the United Kingdom, we got the king and we used to have a queen. Even when you look at the letterboxes, you see the seal of the king or the queen. It says ER. It's Elizabeth Regina. So letterboxes in Britain all red, and whoever was the queen or the king at that time have their stamp. Actually, I'll show you this. It is quite interesting. So, uh, UK letter boxes, uh, letter box by kings. Let me try to find it. Kings and queens, if I can find it. Let's look at the images. Yeah, okay, so this is a good one. You see the letterboxes, they all look the same, but when you look closely, you can actually see some logos on it. For example, if it is Queen Elizabeth who died recently, 1952 to 2022, if it was her time, on the letterbox you see E2R, Elizabeth Regina II. Recent ones, now Charles is the king. It is Charles Regina III. And you can actually look at some old letterboxes and identify, for example, let's have a look. You can zoom in and you see the logo actually tells you who was the king. It is George, GR. So this is the analogy in Risale-i. You look at this letterbox, you say, that is the time of King George. Okay, this is from Queen Victoria because the seal is on it. And in this metaphor, the second friend says, everything you look has a seal, has a stamp on it, telling you that there is an owner to it. Uh, it seems you have studied foreign languages a little and are unable to read this Islamic script. In addition, you refuse to ask those who are able to read it. Come on, let me read to you the king's supreme decree. So then, when you read Risale-i Nur all your life, you start seeing the world from that perspective. For example, if you are uh, walking on UK High Street, everything is in English. You can read stuff. Or if you're in Romania, although it's a different language, it is still Latin alphabet. You can read it and you can guess. Arabic, fine. But with the advent of internet, you see stuff like Japanese or in Thai. Okay, so let me just show you uh, Thai language sign, for example. Let's see. Let's look at. mm, okay, so let's have a look at this. This is something written in Thai language, if I can bring it up. Yeah, like this one. It is no entry because it's written in English. But this is original. Does it mean anything to you? Not to me. Like this one, exit. What does that mean? It looks like MJJJP, and it doesn't make any sense to me. If it is Thai language, something similar in Georgian language, Gürcistan. I don't understand. I don't even know if it is a text. Because you don't know the language, you said, doesn't make sense to me. I don't see anything. I don't read anything. And second friend says, there is a seal on it. Owner's name is written, but since you cannot read that language, you don't understand it's been owned by someone. Let's say you go to a house and there is a placard on it. Someone says, this house belongs to the king of Thailand. It's written in Thai, but you don't understand. It is some funny alphabet and you don't know. But the person says, oh, this is what it says on it. The friend says, everything in this universe has a seal on it. But people say, how come I don't see? I mean, what do you expect? In Latin, on people's forehead writing, this belongs to Allah Ta'ala. Is that what you expect? It is written in a language most people cannot pick it up straight away, but it is written, and we're going to come to that. The empty-headed man then retorted. He says, well, let's suppose there is a king. What harm he come to his senses. Okay, someone may own all this, but what harm can he suffer from the minute use I am making of all his wealth? People say, if Allah is that great, why does he want me to pray to him? He's وَهُوَ عَلَى كُلِّ شَيْءٍ قَدِيرٌ. He's powerful. He's Allahu Samad. Everybody needs him. He doesn't need anyone. And why does he want me to not eat pork, not drink alcohol, do salah 5 times a day, fast 30 days a month? Why does he need that? What harm do I give him? He owns everything. So that's the same argument. He says, let's suppose there is a king. What harm can he suffer from the minute use I'm making of all his wealth? Will his treasury decrease on account of it? In any event, I can see nothing here resembling prison or punishment. He says, what punishment? It's all party, everything is nice. This time his friend replied, this land that you see is a maneuvering ground. Mezra'atul Akhirah, maneuvering ground. It is, in addition, an exhibition of his wonderful royal arts. So this hayat dunya, life on this earth, is two things. One is mezratul akhirah, maneuvering ground. You perform, you get ready for the real thing. And second, it is the exhibition ground for arts and crafts, names and attributes of Allah Ta'ala. Allah created this universe and everything in it to manifest his names and attributes. Esma ve sıfat, names and attributes. So we observe his continuous creation and how his names and attributes manifest themselves. This is the purpose of this universe. Allah is Razzaq. You look how life sustains itself. Allah is Al-Adl. He is just. How He sets balance in this universe. Allahu Al-Quddus. He is clean. And you look at nature, how He maintains order and cleanliness of nature. Allah is Yuhyi, giver of life. Spring came, life just blossomed everywhere. Allah ve Yumit, giver of death. All those names and attributes are demonstrated in this world. That's the purpose of this universe. Allah is creating and showing his names and attributes. So it is a maneuvering ground and an exhibition. This is the most basic fact that every Muslim, every believer should understand. Why are we here? Why Allah created this? It is a maneuvering ground and it is an exhibition for Allah's wonderful royal arts. Then again, it may be regarded as a temporary hospice, one devoid of foundations. Do you not see that every day one caravan arrives as another departs? Things come, things go all the time and vanishes. It is being constantly emptied and filled. Soon the whole land will be changed. Its inhabitants will depart for another and more lasting realm. There, everyone will be either rewarded or punished in accordance with its services. The treacherous, empty-headed man retorted rebelliously. He says, I don't believe it. Is it all possible that a whole land should perish? Look at this beautiful place. How come it's going to get destroyed and be transferred to another realm? His faithful friend then replied, since you are so obstinate and rebellious, come, let me demonstrate to you with 12 out of the innumerable proofs available that there is a supreme tribunal, supreme court, everybody will be held accountable, a realm of reward and generosity, and a realm of punishment and incarceration. And that just as this world is partially emptied every day, so too a day shall come when it will be totally emptied and destroyed. Now, he's going to give us 12 logical arguments why you can party day and night, drink, smoke, eat pork, steal, rob, and nothing happens. And most of the time, you can get away with it. You look at dictators, killing millions of people. People say, oh, if there is God, why is not stopping evil? Look at Pol Pot, the Cambodian crazy dictator killed I don't know how many people, million people, and nothing happened to him. And yeah, apparently, whatever you do, not much happens. People on the internet, they usually like seeing an instant karma. They like seeing instant justice. But in most cases, it doesn't happen. And people say, oh, nothing is happening. Whatever you can do it. Because when you die, that's the end of it. It is not. You're gonna be presented with how you're done. I'll just tell you how it works in a real life. In Britain, the speed limit on UK motorways is like 70 miles an hour. It's 80 tolerated. It's like 120 kilometers per hour. You stick to the speed limit because you're a good citizen, so you don't exceed. Although you have a nice, expensive, powerful car, you're sitting in the middle lane and you're just going with 120. Then you suddenly see this high power supercar just whizzing past you, 180, 200, and you just see the smoke, and you just say, this is so unfair. Look at me. I'm going by the rule, and this guy is not following the law, and nothing is happening to him. Look, he's just speeding down the motorway. You just think it's unfair. But what you don't see in Britain, usually the next day, the postman brings a letter through the letterbox of that person. Because when you're driving, you're coming from London to, Newcastle, it is like 300 miles, and you're speeding all the way, nothing is happening. But in a few days, the postman starts bringing you letters. First from Hertfordshire Constabulary, means police department. Then another one from Yorkshire Constabulary. So each time you pass someone else's uh, area, they got some fixed cameras or radars or something. They say, okay, no rush. They just put a photographic evidence and send it by post. This reminds me of Yevmul Qiyamah and Akhirah. Nothing apparently is happening. And people say, oh, I mean, no punishment, nothing's happening. Well, I'll see you. Like, I'll see you when you get back home, when you start getting those speeding tickets. Because in the UK, system never forgets you. System never misses you. There are cameras everywhere. Everything has been recorded. And they can even go back 10 years. They can bring evidence from 10 years ago. This is something we can see. When I give people this speed example, everybody says, yeah, in Britain, yeah, that's tough, man. But when you say the whole life is just like that, it has been recorded constantly. And when the time comes, they're going to present the evidence. They say, right, summer of 1987, you did this and that. Here is the photographic evidence. And you just look. The Quran says, look at this book. He didn't leave anything big or small, but recorded it. This is a Quranic verse. The man, when he's presented with the evidence, he's going to say this. Oh my God, everything has been recorded. So before the CCTVs and recorder technology was developed, the Quran was saying, yeah, two angels, Münker and Nakir, recording everything. So that reminds me, especially these days with the advent of technology, I don't understand why people doubt that they're gonna get resurrected, they're gonna be shown evidence. This is happening all the time. They can bring evidence from 10 years ago. Why is it so difficult to understand that you've been recorded and you're gonna get reward and retribution in the hereafter? Resurrection is happening all the time, every spring. All trees were dead 2 months ago. Now look at this. Everything is all green again. You can see this all the time. And you don't find it difficult to understand. But when it comes to the Quran, it says you're going to get resurrected and you're going to get reward and retribution. You think it's difficult now. So 12 arguments he's going to present to his friends. I don't think we can cover all of them, but let's go for a couple, then we're going to wrap it up. First, the smart man is telling the other guy, he says, is it at all possible that in any kingdom, any particular so splendid a kingdom as this, there should be no reward for those who serve obediently and no punishment for those who rebel? Reward and punishment are virtually non-existent here. There must therefore be a supreme tribunal somewhere else. You speed, there is no instant ticket. It's gonna come through the post the next day. In this life, you do good deeds, you don't get instant reward. You do bad deeds, you don't get instant punishment. It means you're gonna get in a while. Second, look at the organization and administration of this kingdom. See how everyone, including the poorest and the weakest, is provided with perfect and ornate sustenance. The best care is taken of the sick. Royal and delicious foods, dishes, jewel encrusted decorations, embroidered garments, splendid feasts, all are to be found here. See how everyone pays due attention to his duties, with the exception of empty-headed people such as yourself. No one transgresses his bounds by as much as an inch. The greatest of all men is engaged in modest and obedient service with an attitude of fear and awe. The ruler of this kingdom must possess then great generosity and all embracing compassion, as well as at the same time great dignity, exalted awesomeness, and honor. Now, generosity requires liberality, compassion cannot dispense with beneficence, and awesomeness and honor make it imperative that the discourteous be chastised. Imagine a king has a fantastic country, but he says, we don't care if you don't follow the speed limit. We don't care if you don't pay the tax. No. Look at the order and beauty of this country. There is king in charge. He gets reward and retribution based on your behavior. But not even a thousand part of what that generosity and awesomeness require is to be seen in this realm. The oppressor retains his power, and the oppressed his humiliation, as they both depart and migrate from this realm. Their affairs are then left to the same supreme tribunal of which we speak. So there is more. We just covered two of them. There are 10 more arguments. Very beautiful. Based on the story, just think, yeah, it makes a lot of sense. So I'll stop here. We are running, run out of time. As I said, this is the 10th word. Please do carry on and read the remaining 10 arguments that the smart friend is presenting to the stupid one. I'll wrap up here and I hope to see you on the next one. Thank you very much and